Hello, welcome to the C50 podcast.
Jay, Becca, Bella, and myself all know that mental health is important, and those sitting around this table are either diagnosed with a mental illness or support someone who is.
If you're anything like us, you may be listening to this while you drive, work, clean, or you could be doing many other things. We would encourage you to visit www.c50hope.com, where you can follow up with our podcast and get more help.
We have worked hard to build C50 into a ministry that can reach those affected by someone's struggle with mental health and a deeper illness. We believe that a relationship with Christ is key in finding hope. However, we're not professionals. Think on our words, process them, but never consider us more important than a doctor or therapist you may be working with. We would love to recommend professionals that value all your needs, including medication and therapy, and will also point to Jesus Christ as the center of your life and the way for healing and taking you from hurt to hope.
There are a lot of people that give to C50 that make this all possible. We have people praying, many that give financially, people that donate time or space.
And as an example, we've found a home for the C50 podcast, generously donated for us at McQueen Builders in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, PA. Let's call this McQueen Studios. And this is where we pick up today. Well, welcome to the C50 podcast. We're excited that you're tuning in tonight. It's a Wednesday night. And for us, it is just past 6 o'clock. We've dropped our kids off at church. And in fact, Karen is going to dip out at 7 o'clock on the dot to try to get to small group and teach small group. We have a special guest with us today. And Alisa, you're on the West Coast, but you're in Arizona, is that right?
Yep, Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona, and Alisa's on the phone. We can't wait to talk to Alisa. We're very excited about this. But just going around the table, to my right, we have...
Yeah, Becca.
Becca's always on the podcast with us. She's a normal podcaster, if you will. And then we have... Robin Stevenson, Robin is a... What are you, like a certified... What do they call you? A certified...
Revelation Wellness Instructor.
Certified.
Is that right, Alisa?
Woohoo! Yes.
Yes. Very good. Very good. So, and then to my left, we have... Karen. And so we have one more person that's usually here, Bella. But Bella, which is really cool, Bella decided to skip the podcast. And this is like a really good one, but she said, I got to go to youth group. And so like, she's at youth group right now. So she's 17 and loving youth group.
Good choice.
Yeah, good choice. So, Alisa, I honestly I think I was saying your name wrong up until about 5 minutes ago, so I keep saying it because I want to make sure I get it right. But
yeah, you're doing it right.
Okay, good, very good. I don't want to be the one that talks all the time, so I want to get right into your story so we have enough time to really understand you and your ministry. But you founded a ministry, and we've already said the name of it, but can you tell us a little bit about your story? And we're going to get into more details, but just tell us sort of the background of who you are and how you ended up being called into this ministry.
Good. It's a funny little story. So I took my first aerobics class, and yes, the word aerobics, we don't use that word too much anymore. In 1985, aerobics classes were a big deal. They would just kind of pop up, on the side of a street, just like a strip mall kind of thing would pop up, and there's aerobic classes. And I got invited at the age of 14. I took my first class, showed up with like a room full of mom-aged women, in their 20s, 30s, and here I am 14, I'm the youngest one there. I don't even have the proper attire. I'm just wearing like a pair of Keds and everyone is in their spandex and their leotards and their headbands and their high tops. I'm like, what is going on here? And I took the class and absolutely loved it. I laid there at the end of class, and I knew I just had a thought. Whatever that woman just did, I'm going to learn to do that one day. And I didn't even know what that was. I just knew it connected with me. And so I started. Yeah, go ahead.
Alyssa, if I could jump in. Did I say it right? It's Alysa.
Just keep thinking Lisa. Just Lisa with an A.
Alisa.
Right.
Oh, I thought it was Alyssa. Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Now, Let me just ask you this, because I'm already interested in this. Was it because today you're not just all about exercise. You got so much more about your ministry. It's really ministry. Yeah. So at 14, were you excited about the what would you call it, like the exercise, or was there something else that was tied into it that you experienced that you liked?
I would say it was a release for me. I was 14 years old when I took that class, and at 14, I was really at a crisis. They're kind of just the teenage angst. My parents were not a healthy environment. My home life was very unhealthy. I'm a teenager. It was just all coming to a boiling point. I was, insecurity. Would boys like me? Am I beautiful? All those weird things that, they're normal, but they come to the surface. All I knew is after I took that class, I felt better. I just felt like optimistic. I just felt good. So it wasn't to me about, I feel thinner or I feel stronger. It was not even about that. It was a release inside of me.
So actually, in the beginning, then, it sounds like it was more about your mental health than it was your physical health. Yeah, absolutely. But then it became about because then I started doing it more, and then I started realizing my body was responding. And it was the 80s, and we were starting to learn a lot about fitness, and you'd see a lot of, there are a lot of just beginning thoughts about food and exercise and, sweating to the what is it? Olivia Newton-John, I forget. Let's get physical. Like it's starting to become kind of very a little, innuendos here and there of body and sexuality and being beautiful or being strong. And so when I kind of caught on to that, because my body did respond to it, I did start to tone up more. So I didn't have a spiritual life. I didn't have a walk with Jesus at that time. I knew of him, but he was kind of in my back pocket. I didn't get it. I didn't come up and I wasn't raised in a very Christian home, in a practicing Christian home. We just, by name, we said we were Christian. So I just went after the fitness thing, and it became pretty obsessive for me into my early 20s. And I loved it, but it became my thing, my idol, my identity. And it wasn't until my life I was married, newly married, and that'll do a lot for you, just getting married and not knowing who you are, not really having a faith or value system of spirituality, and I'm in a marriage to a man who is not necessarily a believer. I was a believer by name, but I didn't know what that meant. He wasn't even a believer. Our marriage is kind of coming off the rails. And enter Jesus I knew I needed to go to church. There's something drawing me to church. This was when I was about 28 years old. And I was a personal trainer doing all this stuff in the fitness world, but the spiritual life, my life of faith was just in a box somewhere. So I started to pull that out because I felt this longing. On the outside, you guys, I had success. I was a very successful trainer. I had a waiting list to be training. Everything was going well in terms of how it looked, but on the inside, I was afraid, I was insecure, I was just a mess. And so when I went to church, I kind of had that draw to go back, and as soon as I went back and I started to hear the gospel for the first time, it was like lights came on, and I was able to just start to see everyone needed to know this message. Everyone. I began to see that my clients weren't coming to lose weight as much as there was more to what they were wanting to lose. And that's when I started talking to God, and God started talking to me more about it. But I was resistant at first because it seemed very odd, and I thought people are going to think I'm crazy to bring Jesus into fitness. And it had been done already a little bit, but you guys, I'm so grateful for the 4 founders, the people that went before me, but it didn't feel like me. It felt kind of cheesy, kind of plasticky, kind of fake Christian aerobics. It didn't feel real to me. Like, what are we really doing here? We got to be getting after the bigger story inside people's hearts and minds and bodies. And so I resisted, but eventually God kind of challenged me to it. It really came down to I just had this sense of, Alisa, I'm going to do this. You can come with me. You can kind of be, first to this, or you can come later, but I am going to get someone to do this. And that was a challenge voice to me of like, oh,
he's doing this. I think I'm supposed to go and go early. So I went early and I went ugly, and it was kind of messy to get going. But we're 8 years as a ministry. I've been doing this for about 12 to 13 years, practicing this holistic living in Christ.
So at what age then? So at what age did you start the ministry? Like how, so that was, you said it was 12 years ago you started the ministry?
No, 8 years. Revelation Wellness, the actual nonprofit, began in 2011.
Right.
Prior to that, probably about 4 to 5 years prior to that, I was really, okay. So it really was around 2002, 2003 that I started to put the gospel goggles on my eyeballs and started to see fitness and wellness in a bigger picture. And I started writing content and things.
Right. That's actually what we absolutely love about your ministry is that number one, it's gospel centered. I mean, that's the center of the heart of everything. Yeah, and second, it's not just about losing weight. I mean, it's so much bigger than that. And I think there's such a deeper message there that so many people need to hear. And I absolutely love that you're incorporating it in to, the physical side of it, because let's face it, it's more than the physical. You're getting yourself in shape, but you're also, you're nurturing your mental health and your spiritual health. And it's all one. And a lot of people don't see it that way. They keep things compartmentalized, but it doesn't need to be. It's all one.
Alisa, we say a lot of times that it's really not even about the fitness. Fitness is just the forum.
I have a question. Have you seen the burden of weight and an unhealthy lifestyle affect someone's mental health? And how does it manifest itself?
Oh, absolutely. My goodness. I have witnessed it in my own mother. I think that's probably, my mom was probably a huge impetus for what I do. I watched my mom live a life of a lot of pain and abandonment. She was abandoned by her mother and her father at a young age, raised by her grandmother, was kind of outcasted from her family because she was seen as an unwanted child. And then she married my father, not knowing who she was, and then Christ entered her life where they became believers inside their marriage. But my father was a lot of infidelity. He was not very, faithful to my mom, and she just took a lot of that upon her. So my mom, when she got married, was a beautiful, just a healthy woman. She was just doing life. It was before, I think, food since the 1980s to 90s, food has become such a thing, easily available. TV dinners, like processing our food got bigger. And she started eating her feelings for sure. But a lot of it, again, was stuck in her mind that she was a child that was rejected and abandoned. And even though she knew the gospel, I always say this, here's why we do what we do, that we can say we love Jesus. And I think a lot of people, I love God and I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. I love God. But unless we let Jesus love us, love really all the dis-ease out of us, we will kind of limp around in life, and that affects our mental health. It affects our body. So what we believe affects our biology. Our beliefs absolutely affect our biology. And we're learning that now with neuroscience, psychoneuroimmunology, all these things about how the mind is connected to the gut and the body, and overall health. Chronic disease starts with stress.
Well, don't they actually say now that the gut is like the second brain?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it actually has more neurotransmitters than the brain itself. So
well, you're telling me that the gut, okay, this is brand new to me. You're telling me that the gut has more neurotransmitters than the brain.
Yes. I believe that is correct. It is as high as, if not more than, the brain itself. But the brain, our mind brain, is a lot more complex, right? It has a hemisphere left, right? It has all these other things, right? But the neurotransmitters that are in the brain are also in the stomach, lining of the stomach, and it can be when we have, too much sugar in our diet, we can tear the wall down, which then it interrupts the ability for the neurotransmitters, and our overall health and well-being falls apart because it's a second mind. It's a second place of belief in biology, which the Bible even backs that up about, our gut, our kind of the belief of being of a core of who we are, the hidden person of the heart. It's like way down deep inside of us, and our gut is the reason why you trust your instincts. You trust your gut because it's speaking to you about good, bad, evil, all that.
Boy, that's incredible. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you were saying about your mom and how she started to eat her feelings and handle her emotions through eating. I can certainly relate to that. And in that, we end up flooding our body with sugars and poisons that then have really adverse effects on not only our physical health, but then our mental health as well. So maybe you could go into that a little bit more and how that affects our bodies as we're not only just emotionally eating, but then the physical effects of that when we're eating the wrong things.
Yeah. Well, we know, the choices we make come from some motivation, right? Whether we're thinking about it or not. We make choices all day long, and choices come from habit. Sometimes we're just doing things because it's always what we've done. And so the interruption of what am I thinking right now, I really feel passionate about. I think as Christians, sometimes we're afraid to feel our feelings or think our thoughts because, God forbid, we're actually not thinking good thoughts. We have to pay attention to our emotions and our thoughts. They're not to be feared. They're actually there to help us, to teach us something if we are starting to wander into stress or dread or fear. But, our motives just kind of sit in our gut. They sit with us. They affect both brains, what I think about and what I'm feeling like in my gut. And it can absolutely change my course of decision making because I'm feeling this way. I feel bad. If you feel bad, ice cream or broccoli, where are you going?
Ice cream.
Which one are you going to choose?
Every time.
This is not brain science. Our innate nature, and it's also it's very primal. When we were young, we were soothed by food or by hand to mouth, mouth soothing. And so putting things in our mouth is just natural. God kind of designed us to soothe us that way. It's okay. But because we have a plethora of choices now that are not real food anymore, we are absolutely changing our chemical itself, that our DNA gets affected and broken down. So it really is up to us to make a better choice. And isn't that the gospel? You have a renewed mind. Don't conform, transform, make a better choice. We have to be able to breathe and do that.
So, Alisa, we have obviously a lot of our listeners out there. Our podcast, as I'm sure you know, it deals a lot with mental illness and mental health. So those that are listening may be struggling with this, struggling with some sort of mental health concern or mental illness right now. So I guess my question is when you're looking at everything that we're kind of talking about right now, it can seem overwhelming to somebody, almost like I feel like there's so many things I need to change, so I'm just not going to do anything. So taking a step back and easing somebody into it, because it's always about, start somewhere, take one baby step, feel accomplished about that, and then add something on. So what would your recommendation for those people out there listening that are struggling with the mental health? Because we all know what you put into your body and exercise, that all plays into it, and it's huge. But where would you recommend maybe somebody start?
And that's a great question.
Miss Keeton, I'll just call you that, Miss Keeton. This is Jay. Number 14 on our list of questions that we want to ask you goes along with Karen's. And so when you respond to this, I know that you have from Robin. Well, let me back up. I have the white book. What is that book that I got from you?
The Wellness Revelation.
Okay, I have the Wellness Revelation from you, and that's the book that you wrote, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Wellness Revelation. And I read through the intro, and through Robin and the book, there's this detox, right? And so if you could answer Karen's question about first steps, If you could tie in that detox, we want you to know that C50, the 4 people of C50, me, Karen, Becca, and Bella, are going to do this detox, and then I'm going to take it a step further and do the book as well. But just wrap that detox into it as well, because that's what we're going to be doing as a team as we get off this podcast, and maybe that'll answer Karen's question as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
So kind of beginning with where to begin, and detox is a good word. Detox is a really good word in the sense of not, we tend to think of kind of, I'm going to grab myself by the bootstraps, I'm detoxing, I'm going to stop doing this thing, I'm going to get rid of the bad things in my life. Okay, well, that sounds good, but here's the first thing I would encourage someone to do. This notoriously is what I would do with somebody. You need to write down, and I'm big on writing things down. It's one thing to talk about things or think about things, but write it down.
You take ownership of it when you write it down, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's brain science behind when I write something. I'm going to remember it. Even if I never look back at it, I imprint it on my brain in a way that texting or thinking about it won't do. But when I write it down...
You're right, because I know for my daughter is diagnosed with panic disorder, and one of her coping mechanisms is speaking positive thoughts over, outweighing the negative thoughts. So her therapist told her because you may say these positive thoughts in your brain, but she told her, take that extra step, actually write them down, these positive thoughts, and then read them and say them out loud.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes along what you said. So you're telling these people, write down what they're eating?
Write down, no, don't even go there. We're not there yet. That's what the world would say. You need to just dump it. Go. Write everything that whatever it is in terms of whether you're angry at your body or you're upset with the store, whatever it is, the thing that makes you not want to do fitness or the thing that makes you not want to live well, write it down. Get on it. So it's kind of like purging. What is the thing I don't like? Why am I resistant to this?
So write down what your excuse is as to why you're not doing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everything that's kind of toxic to you, your toxic thinking. Because detox is to rid the toxin. So
well, that would be powerful, too, to see it written down in front of you, getting honest with yourself and seeing that in front of you.
I absolutely love this because I think a lot of times people think of detox from the physical end of it, but you're talking detox of the brain and your thoughts. Yeah. I never thought about it that way, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Because your beliefs become your biology. So if you've got some screwy beliefs about your body and fitness, whatever it is, they're toxic. Let's get them out. Because our thoughts are either toxic or tonic. Toxic breaks down. Tonic serves and medicates. It nurtures. It medicates. So we've got to get out of us the thing that is weighing us down, all the toxins. So write it down. Go ahead. Let it go. Don't worry. Nobody ever sees it. Doesn't matter. But you need to see it. It needs to come out. And then I would encourage people on the other side, once they felt like they purged it, this is why, and it might even bring up old memories of your mom stepping off and on the scale, or somebody called you fat, or whatever. You were the last one picked on the kickball team.
That was me. I was always the last one picked.
Yeah, right. So whatever, let it go where the Holy Spirit's with you. This is the beautiful part about a Christian, a believer, or someone who has the Holy Spirit. He is waiting to bust out of you with truth. And you're not fooling anybody. So just go. Let it go. And so detox all the thoughts. Then turn the page and write down what it is, the tonic again, what it is needs to come into you. What are you going to need from God? What are you asking for? What are you hopeful for? Because a motivation of disgust and shame is a very good starter to motivate you, but it cannot liberate you. Yeah. So we need the constant thoughts of, no, God has called me to a good life, an abundant life, a life of joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Okay, God, I'm going to need you here. So you kind of write it down in terms of a new script in light of a renewed mind, a transformed mind. That would be my first thing. That's good brain health. And then kind of moving to the actual detox that's in the book, well, then there are practical things we can do. Because the truth is, you can write that all down, and that's a good purge of the mind. But the body is going to have some cravings. The body has been fed sugar. The body has been fed some comforts, and it's a habit that needs to be broken. In the book, I encourage people to do a fast, and I know that doesn't sound a very popular word, but fasting for a spiritual discipline it will reap physical benefits as well. But I want to make sure we understand. I see the world now is doing a lot of intermittent fasting. They're using fasting a lot to lose weight. That scares me a little bit. Or just be cautious. We're not doing a fast. Is God? I'm going to interrupt my usual behaviors. I only want to seek you. It's a Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom, and then all these things will give me. Okay, God, I'm going to detox myself of the world for just a day, 2 days. In the book, I kind of step you into what perhaps your fast could look like, because some people get very afraid of that word. Everyone instantly gets nervous that there's, a lot of people have never fasted before. And so they get nervous, or even some have fasted and have eating disorders from it. And so I kind of walk through that in the book. But then once you detox to move into a fast, that will help you reset, getting back to true hunger. And whenever the hunger comes, you're actually turning your attention to God for a little bit, to just, all right, God, I'm here, I'm reading your word, I'm seeking your face. And you'll get a sense, if anything, fasting does bring stress hormones that go down. It does calm us. It really does, just in a physical sense. But because we're seeking God, I've heard so many people have tremendous revelation, because it's a different kind of fast, not just a weight loss fast, not a diet. It's, God, I want you to come and empower me, right? Jesus fasted for 40 days before he began his ministry. He was empowered by the Holy Spirit, fasted 40 days in the desert, tempted, and then boom, ready for his new life, his public ministry. So that detox in the book kind of walks you through the fasting, taking a break, and then it will help reestablish your hunger, true hunger. A lot of people don't even know what true hunger is anymore, so that you can begin to introduce foods back into your life that are truly tonic and not toxic foods. And again, that is all kind of laid out in the book of the better choices we're going to make.
Is that part of the 8 weeks in the book, or is that part of the detox?
That is part of, the book. Okay, so we have, you might be getting confused a little bit. Okay. On our website, we have the 7-day detox.
Okay, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah, we encourage that for anybody. Just do that. The entire thing I started with was getting out all your toxic thoughts.
Okay.
That's at the website. That's free. We encourage anyone to do that anytime. The book, we do work through. The book wants to get you to get back some healthy relationships with foods that you probably have long forgotten are good for you, or, you just kind of have lost a heart for, and you've been eating too much sugar, too much processed food. The book will help you take a break from that through the fasting, which, again, don't be alarmed. Some people fast for 2 meals or 1 meal or a day or 3 days. It just is, we let the Spirit lead people. Then they move, we call that the cocoon phase, where you're kind of in this cocoon phase for a few weeks of just eating, trying to not eat sugar, take different choices, let the Holy Spirit minister you and help you as you are going into new habits.
So I love the detox, because I think it's a really great starting point. If you're thinking about going through the Wellness Revelation, it certainly gives you an idea of what that's about.
Yeah, exactly.
So many times I get asked the question, as a fitness lover of fitness, can't I get healthy without exercise and taking care of my body? And what would you say to that, Alisa? That I want to get healthy, but I don't want to do any exercise.
Hey, and I wrote that question. that's my question.
Okay, we know what Jay is trying to loophole here.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's impossible in the sense of the word fit. What we think, if I say the word fit, most people think of 6-pack abs. You start to see a fit body, but the word fit means to be ready for your purpose, like a cup. My cup is fit if there's no holes in it, right? It's a fit cup. It's ready for its purpose. And so I think it's impossible for us to be fit people if we have to move through life. We're moving beings. The love is a moving verb. It is active.
I think actually the world that we live in today, we have such a warped idea of what being fit means, because with body image and everything you see out there, it almost, we're setting ourselves up for failure, because someone's like, I'm never going to achieve that six-pack or that type of body, so why even try? Because we have such a warped opinion of what being fit really is all about.
That you hit the nail on the head. When it first started, remember when I took my first class, it was just, man, I felt clearer. I felt better. I didn't feel as sad and depressed. Like there's something that was, I wasn't thinking, look how strong my abs are today. I wasn't even there. There was just benefits. And we know it benefits the heart, to stress the heart a little bit. There's so many benefits to the inner parts of the body, to moving, that just don't matter. We focus so much on the outside now. But fitness has been hijacked. When it really is, just go for a walk, move your body. We are so sedentary now because of technology that we're becoming our own, enemy in the sense of our own disease, because we aren't participating in the day-to-day activity like we once did pre-internet era.
So I have two questions, and one of them is about walking. But actually, just to get it out of the way, I really want to back up and ask you how I would define myself, because maybe even going any further, this would be helpful for me. And keeping in mind that that we're going to have to kind of keep moving here, but I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". I got broad shoulders, and so I'm a big guy. But I mean, I'm like, if you looked at me, you would say, especially somebody that's in shape would go, man, Jay's overweight, And so I look at myself and Alisa and say, I'm fat, I'm overweight, and that's what I see. I look down at my body and I go, my core is all out of whack. I got a big belly, whatever. And that's how I define myself, okay? So I know that we're not talking about, so there's multiple things we're talking about, and there's a spiritual component to this, which is the first component. But when you're starting to get into this, like you just started to talk about walking, and I have a question about walking in a second, but as you start to get into some of these movements, first, how would you help someone define themselves that maybe they are a little bit overweight? And I'm speaking as someone who is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the question is, how would I want to?
Yeah, like how would you I say, Jay Ware, I am fat, I am overweight, and I use these words that are just really degrading to me.
They're toxic.
They're toxic.
Yes.
And
there you go.
And with depression, because I'm diagnosed with bipolar and borderline, and when I think about myself, I just think, man, I'm this horrible person. So help me understand. Let's just say that I've gone through the detox. I'm ready to go. I'm sort of getting these spiritual things out. I'm writing, and we're going to start talking about walking in a second. But I look down and I just go, golly, how am I seen? How should I say that I look? Or how do I get past these negative thoughts? Does that make sense?
So I think for totally. Jay, I think he has a very hard time making the connection on why the spiritual fitness is also attached to physical fitness, nutritional fitness, emotional fitness, and we believe in Revelation, I believe that it's all connected, and that God created us to be whole and well, and all of that is interrelated. And Alisa, you do such a fantastic job of explaining how all of that is connected, that I think Jay would benefit from hearing that.
Yeah. Okay. So the Lord, the greatest commandment is love the Lord with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. Your heart, that's the command. That's the great one. Wipe the slate clean. How are we doing with that command? Love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And that truly that's integration right there. That's all. He's going after everything. He's going after the heart, which is your desires, the things that, your emotions, your passions, your heart. And your heart is really ultimately what he's trying to get after, right? The mind gets in the way, but the heart, that's the center of who you are. You without a heartbeat, there's no life. So the heart is the center of your being. And then the mind, your thoughts. So feelings, emotions in the heart, your thoughts, what are you thinking? Love God with your mind. Renew your mind. Think about these things. Praiseworthy, noble, excellent. So how are we doing there? And then the soul, that's what makes you Jay. That's what makes you Robin. That's what makes Alisa. It's my soul. Why you like rock music and someone likes hip hop or whatever. Why you like the color blue and you don't like green. There's this, that's you, and that's a beautiful, intimate place that God knows you as a soul. And it's C.S. Lewis who says that you don't have a body, or you don't have a soul, you are a soul. You have a body. The soul is in me, and my body is kind of the shell that carries out the desires of my heart, the thinking of my mind, and the uniqueness of who I am as a soul, which is the strength part. Love the Lord with all your strength. What you do, your might, your ability, what you put your hands to, what you speak with, what you make manifest in the physical world of strength, ability, power. Love God there. So it's all integrated. We have to, there's constantly, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I desiring? What is my soul story happening here? And then how is my body getting affected by my thoughts, my emotions, and my own desires?
Alisa,
so
would you say that Revelation Wellness in your ministry, and maybe I shouldn't even say like put you on the spot, or like how would you say that I'm getting close to what you guys believe if I said that we are as believers, that we shouldn't look at our bodies and wait whether or not we're in shape or out of shape. We're really looking at what's inside, because with the C.S. Lewis quote, we're talking about the soul and the inside, and it's just a shell. So really, I shouldn't be looking at, and this goes for everybody out there that is struggling probably with mental health and weight and kind of the place that I'm at. You're maybe saying like, look, it's not about how big you are, even how toned you are. It's all about where you are healthy with the Lord spiritually, and then the rest comes into place. Am I close to what you believe on that?
Yeah. I mean, we're all about, we want to make you fit for mission, for get on with your life, fit to the Great Commission. Go and tell the world the gospel, preach it, whether you use words, whatever. And that's a fitness that your body's needed for that. The size of you, we absolutely believe that there's health at every size. You cannot look at the size of a person and tell me how healthy they are. That's all a barometer of what's going on the inside. I don't know what their resting heart rate is. I don't know what there are bigger boned, bigger sized people who are truly very healthy. Now, if they can't climb a flight of stairs and feel winded, if they have a hard time sleeping, if they're very achy, their bones hurt, their brain foggy. Well, those are the things that God goes, let's talk about that. That's going on the inside of you. Samuel, where it says that God looks at the heart, not at the man's appearance. That's when he was choosing David, and Samuel is looking at all the other brothers who look better. No, God goes, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the heart. So he's always looking again at that heart. We cannot judge ourselves based on the outside.
This is why I love Revelation Wellness, and I'm ready to give it a shot. So this is what we're going to do. I have one more question about walking. If the ladies want to ask another question from them, that's cool. And then I want to get into a little quick wrap up where we just sort of fire off a bunch of questions, and then we'll let you go. You got time for that?
Fun. Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so the last question I have is, you just started to talk about walking, and we were talking about the detox and going into the 8 weeks. And in the intro to the book, which I was going to start about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then decided that I was going to wait until we interview you because I really wanted to get stoked about what you said.
Cool.
Yeah, so I am going to do that. But the one thing that I put into practice so far was I think you said in the book to start with recreational walking. Is that right?
No, well, I talk about recreation. Like, the whole point of recreation is to be recreated. That's the word, means recreate. And whatever we're doing, it's to have a recreational attitude. So walking is definitely one of those things. We're all doing it. I mean, you walked from your car to your work, or, walking is something everyone can do. And it's the heart of approaching it of, this is a recreating thing that I'm doing as I'm walking. There's an African proverb that says, when you pray, move your feet. When you pray, move your feet. Like, talk with God, but walking is a baseline. Most everyone can do it. And I encourage everyone to start there if they're not doing anything. So it's gentle on the body. You don't have to walk far. You will get the benefits of the brain, the chemical release of the dopamine, the endorphins. They will come after about 15 minutes or so of a steady pace.
Especially in
I think
Pittsburgh.
walking is a great. Yeah, why is that?
It's nice and hilly.
It's
nice and hilly
here. There's
Well-
nothing easy about walking around the neighborhoods here.
I can tell you're good at. I can tell that you're good on your feet and good at speaking, because I asked a question that was a little bit silly and you turned it and made it awesome. So thank you for doing that. So I was wrong about recreational walking, but I sort of.
Where is he going?
Yeah, right.
Recreational walking?
Right. What is this? But what I did was I actually was connecting with the intro to this book, and I highly recommend the book. It's now it's the opposite. Is it Wellness Revelation? Right?
Correct.
The book,
Okay,
right.
and then your ministry is called Revelation Wellness. So
Correct.
the book is kind of flip-flopped. But the book is great so far. And the intro, like you said, it was talking about just being recreated. Anyway, I was just really soaked about it. And so I started to walk to work. And I'm walking down the road to this sketchy, like, it's like a highway almost. And like, I'm going to get hit by cars, but I'm like, I'm walking to work. And I start to tell my wife this, and I'm like, Revelation Wellness says I got to start walking. Well, so I'm walking to work, and then I'm stopping it all the time. My back is killing me. I'm like winded. I walked in yesterday and I walked home from work yesterday, and I said, Becca, I feel like I just ran a marathon, and it was like a mile walk, and so can you, before we get into just kind of letting you go and wrapping up, let's just, your passion is to get people healthy spiritually, and Luke 2:52 talks about how you want to be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially, and that's a really cool thing about Revelation Wellness is that's what you're doing, and that's beautiful. So let's just say I want to take my first step. I did my detox. I'm writing things down. I'm getting right with the Lord, and I get out there and I start walking, and I'm just like, this is nuts, like just give me like an encouragement, because Miss Keeton, I got to walk to work tomorrow, and it's going to kill me to do it.
Well, I would say, like, you've got to pay attention to your thoughts. You have to doubt your doubt. Why? First of all, maybe it is just too far on your body and too fast, too much, too soon. I don't know. I don't know what fitness level you're at or, ability. But if there's a lot of pain in your body, you should there's discomfort and then there's pain. If there's discomfort, well, you press through and you pray and you move your feet and you breathe and you pay attention to your thoughts, talk to God as you're walking. Yeah, if you have pain, if you're like, my back is thrown out, whatever, it might have been too much too soon. But what people do then is they throw the bath out with the baby with the bathwater and just stop doing everything. How about instead just you're going to go for a walk around the block at lunchtime or something a little different that isn't so much too fast too soon?
And
so pay attention to your thoughts.
I think, too, Alisa, we talk a lot about how moving our body is our get-to. God gave us this beautiful body, and there are so many people that don't have the ability to walk. But yet, Jay, you get to.
Yeah.
That's
God
powerful.
lets you. And so really telling yourself that this is my get-to. First, you got to have really great form when you walk so you don't hurt your back, right?
True.
But And when we teach our fitness classes, we tell these ladies, thank you for being here to share my get to with me, because we get to be here moving our bodies because God is so good to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I say about doubt your doubts. Reframe your doubts. Like reframe, the negative stinking thinking just gets bigger and bigger, but turn it around. Right. It's a get to. I mean, there will come a day that you won't be able to walk a mile, potentially. So it's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We have just a couple more questions that I want to bounce off of you. Ladies, do you have anything else that you'd like to just sort of sneak in there before we wrap this up?
No, the only thing it's not necessarily a question, but something that I just kind of wanted to throw out there that I absolutely love that I necessarily wasn't anticipating today was that with everything that you all are doing, I mean, deep down, it is a mental health ministry. I mean, because when you're putting, when you're bringing Christ in your life and you're detoxing your brain, which is so huge, and I absolutely love that, and you're getting, you're starting to move and, do recreational walking, as Jay would say. It's all good things for your mental health. So I love that. So people out there that are listening, I think this can be huge for them. So I guess if people that are listening, they're like, okay, how do we find you? What do we do? So what is your website?
Yeah, revelationwellness.org.
Okay.
And there's tons of free resources there under a tab called Freebies.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome, because I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to our conversation today are definitely going to want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
And that, Karen, that's perfect. That's a perfect lead in to just wrapping this up. And so I just really want to bounce a couple things off you really quick. And this is really a plug for you guys. And we don't have this huge following like you guys do and whatnot. We're a growing ministry and whatnot. But for our listeners, we want to plug you guys and let people know, because we believe in what you're doing. Revelation Wellness has a rest and rebuild retreat, June 9th through 13th, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. Can you take literally just very quickly, just tell us what that is, where it is, and what that might be about?
Mm-hmm. It's June 9th to the 13th in Colorado. I can't remember just outside of Denver, about an hour and a half. And it's a retreat for people to just come away, to bring their bodies with them as we renew our minds. You'll get, it's weight loss camp, but it's not the type of weight you can measure under your feet. People that come are going to lose what's weighing them down, whether it is mental. It absolutely is. There's a mental health. There's a battle going on in the mind. We're going to get clear. We're going to spend 5 days, worship, Bible study, and including the body. It's kind of like a conference that also says bring your body too, because the story gets stuck in the body.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome.
I love that.
And one of the things that Robin pointed me to something about maybe going through the class, and if I took the steps to get involved or something. But she said, or I read on the website or something, that you can really go to like the rest and rebuild kind of getaway, and like she was saying that people that can't move a lot, people might even sit in a chair and just kind of get some movement going, and so it's not like you have to go out there and it's going to be like climbing the Rocky Mountains or anything like that.
Nope. No, it really is. Again, the rest part is foundational. Learning to rest to rebuild. So everyone can rest and everyone will have a participation of rebuilding. Okay,
now, and I'm quickly moving on. We just got a couple more real quick. I went on the website and I've talked to Robin about this. I saw a lot of pictures of gals. And I'm sitting with 3 of them now, and it's all good. One of them is my wife. Becca's my wife. I don't know if I dropped that earlier.
That's me.
Did we say that? Okay.
Yeah.
But I saw a picture of a lot of gals, and Robin said that you guys, or that Revelation Wellness wants to get more guys involved, or it's like
absolutely
like how. Like if someone listens to this podcast or goes to the website and finds you guys and they're like, man, is this like more focused on women and whatnot? This is for people like me. I'm a total guy,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
Tell me, debunk the myth that this exercise thing leans more towards women, because I feel like the people that I run with, kind of might feel that way.
Yeah. Well, notoriously group fitness, group classes.
Right.
I mean, even just teaching in general tends to be a woman, more female tends to be until it gets higher up in the university level. But teaching itself, groups, generally is a female role often more, but now with fitness especially. But we're in an era now where we have had enough men come through training that are actually getting together. They're taking on more front space in the ministry. If you're a gentleman, listen to me. If you're a guy, go to our free page on the website, and I challenge you to try our Warrior Challenge. It's, again, for someone that wants to be challenged, and it's taught by all our men, or not all of them, but some key men in our training program. So you're going to see more men. We just were really kind of waiting for men to step up and take their place. Honestly,
that's all you, Jay.
Yeah,
it's true.
Give me a couple years, I'll be there. Okay.
No, you don't. You need to be on your journey. I mean, there are people that only Jay will speak to who are on their journey too. I mean, if we wait to have, the 6-pack ab or whatever, it's too late. Wait, go early, go ugly. That's what I tell people. Come on, if you're being called, you go. So we now have some men who have just been ready. They're like, let's go. We got to get more men in here. And we teach men a little. We give them, to learn how to move according to their own design. What is it they feel called to do? How will they use it in their own ministry? Because I know women, dancing, we tend to do a little bit of. And by the way, we encourage all men to loosen up and dance a little bit. They dance before the Lord. There is a sense of freedom. You have to drop the active has to be tough. Oh, dancing and praising God, just really freeing yourself. But we also want men to be, do that strong side of tossing tires around or whatever it is that's what they like to do. So we're going to see more of that in the ministry now.
Okay, well, I'm going to start working with Robin and Holly, and we're going to start working on our church, because our church will only let women. They don't do co-ed classes. So is that something that you guys see that's kind of in churches and stuff in ministry?
Sometimes. Yeah, it really depends on the church, but we understand. That's why we need some men to take men and move them. We actually have another part of our training called Rev Wild, where we're teaching outdoor leadership. So men or women that want to take other men, women out into the outdoors and, have physical movement in that way, whether it's just hiking, walking, fishing, whatever. But it's all an expression of wholeness.
Yeah, that's great too, because that would open it up for more men as well.
Correct, yeah.
So is there a verse or a passage that Revelation Wellness is based on?
Well, Mark 12:28-30, it says, the greatest commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and then love the others as yourself. And if we don't love ourselves, how really are we loving others? So we just got to get straight. We got to get straight with our love. And I go back and say, let Jesus love the heck out of you. Let him love all the dis-ease out of you. Let him love the lies out of you. Let him retell you your story. And that's what we do here at Revelation Wellness.
Yeah, and I like how you say that. And with starting, like we were talking about with the writing, because if we're not honest with ourselves, then we can't be honest with the Lord. So this process of getting honest with him and then receiving his love and letting him love us.
Yes.
All right, well, Alisa, we are excited that you joined us, and so the team at C50, myself, Bella, Becca, and Karen, are going to do the detox, the 7-day detox.
Great. Awesome.
Robin wants me to do the Warrior Challenge. I don't know if I can actually do that yet, but
yes, you can.
Right.
I'm going to do the book.
We can both do it, Jeff.
Maybe we can, but we
all do it together.
C50 Ministries is just loves you guys out there, and I might cross paths with you, and you can use my recreational walking if you want to. Just go ahead and throw that in your next book. Yeah. Hey,
we're praying him in, Alisa. We're going to pray him into instructor training.
I'm already,
There you go.
I'm marking you for training. Yeah, Jay, I'll be seeing you.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you soon, okay?
Okay. Thank you, guys. Love you all. Take care. Love you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening today. Again, we have tried hard to share truth authentically, and we hope that this has been a helpful time in your life. To reach us, donate, share your story, and give us feedback on how we can do a better job reaching people that are struggling. Please go to www.c50hope.com.
We leave you with this. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And remember, as Jack Miller said, you're far more loved than you ever dare imagine.